What's up, everybody? You're tuned in to another episode of Off the Yard, and I'm your host, Big Lance. And today we're talking about some of the hardest, most gangster ass dudes. Get a little zesty. Let's get into it, man. Man, it's good to see y'all, man. I'm glad you're tapping in. Glad you guys are enjoying the new content. Check this out. West Coast, East Coast, North, South, all prisons are ran different. Every single one of them. You have different politics. You got different codes of conduct. You have different ways that these men do time. I'm on the East Coast. I'm in Virginia. We have really uh, uh, variation of politics. We don't have a lot of codes. Things run rampant in this prison system. Out in California, they're very strict. The inmates are very strict. Which, hey, look, that's great, but why not use that same strictness in your life outside of prison? Why does it take going to prison to become this man of honor? I never understood that. Like, you're out here robbing old ladies and purses. You want to come to prison, all of a sudden you're William Wallace. Come on, man, miss me with that. Our prison system is a little bit different. We don't run by race. We aren't like secluding ourselves. Now, there are a lot of racial dudes. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of dudes in our prison system that they're just racist by nature. I think that everyone's got a small smidgen of racism in them, just my opinion. Whether it's ingrained from a child, whether your parents taught it to you, whether it's just society making you that way. Whatever the case, most people have a small amount of it, or at least a perception of another race just because. Social media, Hollywood, all these different platforms that we watch all day long, we're glued to our phones, they perpetuate this, and we fall for it before we even get to know some of these individuals. And unfortunately, the younger guys fall for it too, so they become what they think society is trying to make them out to be. Anyway, we're not here to get into that. Today we're getting into some of the quote unquote hardest dudes I ever seen in prison who, I mean, was doing acts unbecoming of a gangster. What's a gangster? I guess if you want to start there, what's the perception of a quote unquote gangster or somebody that's, in the life so hard that that's just what it is? I've been there. And I'm going to tell you, the mindset, I think, is what changes ultimately. I think it's what makes a person a quote unquote gangster is their mindset. You can dress up like a rapper, or you can walk around like you're John Gotti and wear tracksuits, or whatever the optic illusion might be. But at the end of the day, whatever your mindset is exactly where your direction is going to be. The universe is going to make sure that happens. I could think back to my first real initiation into the prison system. And what that was I walked into this unit as a prison called Southampton. It's closed down now, and it was initially like a gladiator school, man. And when I was there, it was 24 and under, so it was really gladiator school. If you didn't know how to fight when you got to Southampton, by the time you left Southampton, you definitely knew how to fight, especially as a white boy. A white boy coming up in the prison system in the South, you gonna learn how to fight. Now, I'm not saying that I'm Floyd Mayweather. I'm saying I can handle myself in a fist fight, because I've had to. That being said, I remember seeing dudes, working out tough, man. These big, strong, freaking action hero looking dudes, man. And of all races. It's a misconception that you got these big, towering black dudes running around all the time. These just little frail white dudes. That's a misconception. That's not the way it is. Now, of course, there are exceptions to the rule. But you got big ass white boys, big ass black dudes, big ass Asians. Contrary to what Wes Watson might say, that's a tongue twister. You got jacked ass Mexicans. You have big ass dudes in all shapes and sizes and races. Now, when you're a youngster and you're coming in 17, 18 years old, you're a child. You're a kid. I don't care what the law says you're not fully developed mentally, physically, any of that at 18 years old. That's me walking into a major prison institution, a major institution, walking around killers, walking around, you know, pedos and just the scum of the earth. That's who is at these prisons. These high-profile guys that you see on TV and the news, I'm walking around them. They're not high-profile to me. They're just somebody else to smack around. If I see somebody that's done something to a bunch of kids or a school, a shooting or something, they're getting smacked around. I promise you that. At some point in time during their prison stay, they'll get smacked around or possibly even taken up out of here. That's the way it is. And it kind of goes back to, here, I guess we're men of honor now. You know, it's just weird to me, man. Like, it's weird. I think that the biggest thing, and not to get off track again, but back to that and I'll leave it alone. I think a lot of it has to do with substances. I think that once you get a clear mind, you start to understand the flaws in your perception, in your own reality, and you start to try to better yourself a little bit. But unfortunately, there's more drugs in prison than on the street. So you know, if you're a drug addict and you're put in a penitentiary, you might fight the good fight for a while, but most eventually, they go back to resorting to getting high because it's how they deal with things. It's how they deal with stress. Do you not think prison is stressful? Yes, it is. That's why so many people get high. Why do you think the administration lets it get in so much? It's a perpetuating door, man. It's a cycle. They don't want you to come home clean and clear-headed. They want you to come home just as messed up as you were when you went in. That's a fact. It's a business, and business is booming. Do you know how much money these states make off of these prisons? That's another video. You know what I'm saying? But this video, we're going to get into it now, guys. And I do apologize for getting off track. You know, I'm a little passionate about certain things. But in this video, I'd like to discuss about when I walked into that prison for the first time and I saw these massive human beings that had just been working out for the last 5 years, eating, you know, crappy, you know, food that just swells you up and you get the big shitty gut. And I bet these men are 280 pounds. And to a 175-pound soaking wet kid coming in, they look like monsters. And that's exactly what some of them are. I've told a story about Bolo. You can go down through the channel and check it out. It's a good story, man. And it really does kind of diagram that whole situation, man, where these guys prey on youngsters, man. Especially, and a lot of people ain't going to like to hear this, man. But there is one particular group that's worse than the rest of them, man. That's what it is, you know, and I'm not saying it because I feel some type of way. I'm saying it because it's the truth. I'm saying it because, I mean, there's a lot of people now who are suffering to this day mentally because somebody did something like that to them in prison. And that's why I think that you have these gangs out in California and things like that they're created of, you know, initially created to stop that. What they turned into is whatever. But they were initially created to stop shit like that. But I knew this kid that came in with me. We rode the bus together, man. And we were both very young, man. 18. I believe he maybe was a year older than me, maybe 19. We both didn't have long sentences. We both had like 5, 6, 7 years. It wasn't a lot. I know a lot of people are like, what? It's not a lot. When you're dealing with individuals who have 60, 80, they get their update sheet and it says deceased, man. That's their release date. Your little 5, 10 years don't seem like a whole lot. But we came off the bus and immediately this dude is got his chest out and this and that third. Now, I'd already been to Beaumont, which was, like I spoke about in my last video. This was one of the worst prisons I've ever been to, and this was a juvenile facility. So I already knew to deflate that chest a little bit. Now, I'm not saying you walk in there all sunk in like, you walk in there as a man because you want to walk out of there as a man. You don't need to draw any extra attention to yourself. And a lot of these guys, that's what they do, man. They get in there and they just draw all this attention. Look at me, I'm the baddest motherfucker on the planet. And you're not, bro. I promise you, you're not. Settle down. Now, I'm walking in with this dude. So I kind of distance myself immediately because he's with the yo, all this yo stuff. And I'm not really with that. You know, I came up in predominantly black neighborhoods as a child. I've been around really good black people in my life, man, who have helped me out, fed me when I needed food, put clothes on my back when I didn't have shit. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to go around and make it a point to act like something I'm not. I just be me every day. Now, some people are so indecisive about who they are, it makes them look very foolish. And in prison, you can't afford to look foolish, man. You can't afford to slip up like that because you are around wolves, man. You're not around individuals that have a heart. They don't give a shit about who you are, what your past is like, what you got going on. All they care about is either how much money you got or how tight that hole is. That's just a fact. So thinking that you're gonna walk in there and all of a sudden you're gonna be the pod boss, as they call it these days, or King Dingaling, it ain't gonna happen, Jack. I promise you it ain't gonna happen. So this kid walks in and he's at the poker tables. He's making all the noise. I mean, for good 2 weeks, man, he's the loudest cat in the pod. The loudest dude in the whole prison. So he hears him. You know? And I'm chilling. I never really click up immediately. I sit there for a minute and kind of figure out who's who because, man, if you one of them dudes that jumps on the first bandwagon, usually it's not the best, so you got to take your time. And people that worth the fuck, they notice that. They don't want liabilities around them. They want assets. Prison isn't a family, dog. It's a numbers game. And a bunch of numbers ain't always great. The right numbers is what you need. And you see a lot of these prison YouTubers and they talk about, oh, I'll send 1 million dudes at you. No, you won't. The fuck you will. Because I'm going to slice every one of them up. You send 4 or 5 of them lame little goofies you got with you and me, and I'm going to cut them up real decent, man. Send them home with their mama in a box. Straight up. Now, if you got 3, 4, 5 solid-ass dudes with you, well, you got yourself an army. Most people join gangs. Most people click up because they're terrified. Most people are loud because they're terrified. Most people, like this young individual, I don't know, I'm scared. Are y'all scared? Because I'm scared. That's what it sounds like to me. You're terrified. Because you never learned how to stand on yours, bro. You can't stand with me unless you stand on your own first. The fuck? So, this is something I learned very young. 1, growing up in impoverished neighborhoods. 2, I've been around these people my whole life. I know what most black folks respect and what they don't, man. I was that kid that took a lot of ass whippings coming off the school bus. I was that kid standing there at the playground, could never get in a game of basketball because I'm white and I suck. I was that white kid that had to learn how to fight real early because if I didn't, man, I wasn't going to make it home from school that day. I had to learn how to fight because I wouldn't have my coat by the time I got home. And my mama would whoop my ass. That's life. This boy didn't have that. This boy grew up, Clarence's parents had a real good marriage. And he walked in here thinking that little bit of money that his parents were sending him and his Timberlands and his do-rag were going to get him through this prison sentence, and it was not. I watched it unfold, bro. I watched it happen like it was a movie. And I wasn't in a position where I could go up to the cat and be like, yo, bro, you might want to chill, because I didn't really give a shit. I didn't really want nothing bad to happen to him, but I didn't care if it did. Now, he starts hanging with this group. This group was a little sus. I'm going to tell you why this group was a little sus, because you had like too many different variations of people. Most groups are very similar, man. Most groups are going to be, you can tell they hang out with each other. Me and my boys, we kind of look the same, kind of talk the same. We listen to the same type of music. We laugh about the same shit. We don't have a 65-year-old dude dapping up a little 21. It just don't work like that. It's not how it is. This group is very odd. You couldn't really tell what the common denominator was. Well, at least as a new guy. Now, he fell right in with this group. And he's the only white boy in the group. So he thinks, shit, I'm in there. I'm in there, bro. All that. He's doing all that. Right? All the things. He's doing all that shit, right? And I'm just sitting there like, look. Because I knew. Because every time that boy walked away from that poker table, or every time that boy walked away from that group, they were just, shit. I'm going to run up in that one. And they're going to do it with no remorse. And that boy thought it wouldn't happen to him. Not me, shit. I got my boys. They're the ones going to run up in you, champ. So, I believe it was fall or winter. It was cold outside. I'll never forget it because I was coming in from the rec yard. In most of these old prisons, you got back stairways and they're like alleys kind of, man. They're like just a lot of blind spots, dude. And you're coming in the building or whatever, and you know, you're trying to get to that shower time. So you're trying to get your place in line, right? Because the line can get, you know, especially if you're out there working out. And even though it's cold and you ain't sweating a whole lot, you're respectful to your cellie, man. You want to hit the water. You want to make sure that everyone knows, you know what I'm saying? It's just everything in prison is an optic. Everything you do, somebody's always watching. And it's always respectful to just make sure that you're clean, to make sure that your area is nice and tidy, because that man shouldn't have to live amongst your funk and sweat and feet and all that shit. And if you guys have a mutual understanding, which I had a really good cellie, they're hard to come by. A lot of times you get stuck with a cellie that you really don't like, and you guys just butt heads all the time until eventually it gets bad. Well, I get in line, boom, boom, and this dude was right in front of me. So the way it works is you come out to the day room with your shower stuff. Now, I'm gonna tell you how you tell a green bean from somebody who's a little seasoned or even a vet is what they got on their feet. When you come out to take your shower, if you are with a group or you're with a gang or you're with or you're just with yourself, you never wear your flip-flops out in the day room because you can't fight in those things. So I'm out there, I'm sitting there with my boots. I got my state boots on and I kept them tied. I don't wear them all like, you know, Timberland out with the string. I tie my boots up, man, because if I got to get to bumping out here, I want to make sure everything's everything. Which, listen, I know it's kind of extra, but that's just the way it is. But extra is the name of the game. Extra can save your life. Point blank. I mean, if you think about anything that you can do to make sure that you're breathing that next minute, you're going to do. That's just, you're in a war zone, man. You know, there's constantly bullets flying everywhere in a sense. You know, and I don't care. PTSD is a real thing, bro. It's a real thing. And it comes from shit like this. It comes from having to live in an environment where whether you're in a beach or a desert or a jungle shooting at each other, or you're in a little teeny 8x6 cell swinging knives at each other, it's war, man. That's a war. That's a battle. That's a fight. If you have never been in that situation, we are not the same. Straight up. I mean, we're just not. We can't talk about the same things sometimes. You know, because I'm going to be dealing with some shit that you just can't really understand. But some of y'all can. Some of y'all can't understand. That's why we make these videos. You know, for people like that. Anyway, I go ahead and jump in that shower, man. And me and dude kind of go in around the same time. Because there's 3 showers. Boom, boom, boom. Right? And I'm going to say this too, because like people like to get in these comments and they like to watch these videos, try to pick things apart. I said in the beginning of the video, this was 24 and under camp, so to speak. But you still have people that have been there for years, because Southampton's an old prison. You had guys that were 60. You had guys that were 80 there. They were sending young guys there because they were trying to make it almost like a YO program, like this place called St. Bride's. But St. Bride's was a level 2. They didn't really have a level 3, 4, so that's what this was going to be. So before you get in the comment box, watch the whole video, okay? Because I saw in the last video some people was talking about, oh, I thought you said that was a totally different situation. Go back and watch the videos. It wasn't the same situation. Okay, guys? So I appreciate you. I like being fact-checked, but, you know, I've been doing this for a long time now, 6 years, something like that. I think that if there was some bullshit to my content, they would have been found it. I got a lot of haters. So, whatever. So, we come out the shower about the same time. And whenever you come out the shower, you're going to smack your shoes. You smack your shower shoes. Why do you do that, guys? Why would you think you would do that? What you do is you coming out of the shower, you take your shower, you smack it on the wall. Pop, pop, pop. The reason you do that is because you don't want to track in whatever you're bringing from that shower into your house. Your house is your cell. 2 men live there. You got to think Okay, what do guys do in the showers? You're in a two-man cell. You don't get a lot of alone time. Now, me personally, I never jack in the shower. That's not what I do. The reason I don't do that is because I'm on war mentality. I don't want to be sitting there jacking and somebody run in there and poke me up. When I want to have some time to myself, I'm gonna tell my celly, hey, are you going out the next rec or are you going to lunch? And while that man is out there doing his thing for the next hour, you put some up in the. Most of these cells have these cutout windows, right? They're not really windows. There's just a hole in the door. So what you do is you take a pillow and you stuff that hole up. Even the COs don't really fuck with you because you're either taking a shit or you're gunning. And if you're doing either, that's your time, bro. It's your time. Unfortunately, though, there's another reason they do it. And we're about to find out that reason right now. So as we're coming out, I'm getting all my shower stuff together. He's getting his together. And all you hear is him talking. And I'm going to give you a picture of this dude. He's about 6'2", tall, skinny guy, man. You know, very, very skinny, very slender. Didn't work out. And, you know, constantly making himself seen. That's the first rule you learn, man. Don't be seen so much. You're going to be seen, you're going to be looked at and all that, but like you don't need to draw so much attention to yourself because you're going to get a lot of people who are just going to dislike you because of it. Now, he had gotten in the cell with a guy, one of his homies, older gentleman. He was actually a cadre. And what a cadre was, he had been in Southampton so long that he had been getting himself a job. And what he was a porter, basically. He cleaned up the pod, he mopped the floors, he hung out with the COs, he fucked with the cops, whatever. But he was a blatant homosexual, man, and everyone knew it. It was very obvious, except to this guy. And I got kind of, I guess in a sense, like I had gotten with the right group, man. And when I first got there, there's a couple of dudes that have been there a while, and they liked the way I carried myself, and they kind of, you know, embraced me, and you know, we hung out, you know, and like this is back in the day when now they got these little flat screen TVs. Back in the day, you had a TV that had a radio attached to it. It was all black and white. It was small. It was like 7-inch screen or something. It was tiny. And my celly was an older cat as well. Well, not older, probably in his 30s, but to me he was older. And he actually fixed TVs. So he had found an old TV that someone was going to throw away, fixed it up, and gave it to me. So I had myself a TV. And you had, you know, CD players back then. That's how we used to make tattoo guns. Still make them today with them. But you would take the motor out of it, which is a pancake motor. You get a Jolly Rancher motor, what you take out of like clippers and trimmers, or you get a pancake motor, which is a smaller motor that you take out of a CD player. Hard to come by now because now they have MP4s or MP5, whatever they are now. They're tablets, JPay shit or whatever, JP5, 6 or whatever. So there's a shortage of them. So they still sell the trimmers, if I'm not mistaken. So they're still slinging ink 100 miles an hour there. I just don't like the Jolly Rancher motor. It wasn't my preference. Anyway, so I had myself set up. I had a nice little TV. I had a little 35-cent an hour job. Every night I would go into the shower and I'd spray it down with a hose and hit it with which ain't the most glamorous job because like I just said, there's people jacking in there 100 miles an hour. But it gave me $35 a month so I could get myself, this is back when you could smoke, so I could get my little tobacco. And what I did was I'd buy coffee and sell shots of coffee to hustle myself through the rest of the month. I'm saying all this because I'm in bid mode, right? I mean, I had good dudes around me that steered me the right way. This guy had made himself such a target that he had all the wrong people trying to help him out. When in reality, they're just getting all types of money from him. He called himself opening up a store box, but all they did was just take his store box stuff because he had $100 a week coming in. That's a lot of money in prison. And just never paid him back because they're his boys, you know. So these dudes, they looked the part. They dressed up like gangsters. They just talked the gangster lingo. They had their own little handshakes and all that shit. I don't even know what gang they were representing. I guess the GBGs, you know, gay boy gangsters. Because that's all they did was gay shit. And I don't even know if this dude was starting to catch on. This was a couple months down the road. You'd think that he'd start to see, the weirdness in this group that he was around, but I guess he didn't see it. He was so busy trying to make himself something he's not that he didn't even see what he had become. And what he had become is what nobody wants to be. And so he's coming out of the shower and he's walking to his cell. All right, yo. Waving to his homies, all the things, all the stuff. And he's on the bottom tier, so he's walking. In his cell, the way these tiers are set up, most of them are like either a horseshoe or an L. It's usually what you got. But there's always some steps right there that go to the top tier. He's kind of in the corner back there where the steps were. Blind spot. Remember those blind spots I was telling you about? Well, as he's going in, his cellie had already planned this. Today was the day. They were going to make their move. And his cellie had grabbed two of his homies, right? And they were already in the cell. And he had one outside that was going to watch. He was going to play watchdog. So there's 3 grown men. Men, grown. This is a 19-year-old kid, child. In my opinion, that's a child. It's a kid. That's my kid's age. You know? I had 2 kids, 2 sons that are that age. And they're preying on him. So as he goes in, he tells the CO, that's universal, shut the door, because they slide. He doesn't even see what's waiting on him. All he sees is his cellie in there, because he's not paying attention. As he shuts the door, you hear it. What you're hearing is sneakers skirting on the floor. There's a ruckus. But that pillow goes up in the window. We all know what's going down in there. And you hear, first you hear the, but then you hear the sock go in the mouth. What they do is they're going to take a sock and they're jamming it in your mouth. They're not going to do this because you can bite them. Leaves a trace. Either that or when you walk in, somebody will be behind you and they'll take a sheet and they'll wrap it around your face. I'm guessing it was one or the other. I wasn't in there. How do you know what's going on there, Lance? How do you know, bro? You don't know. I'm going to tell you how you know. It's the smell. The smell is what tips you off to what's going on. And that's not something people are going to want to hear right now. But that's how you know. So what they do is they're going to get you on the ground. And you're not going to, there's 3 guys. You can't beat them. Especially that guy. That guy can barely bench press 140 pounds. He's not going to take 3 guys on. Look how good you can fight. You're not Bruce Lee. You're not going to automatically turn into Jackie Chan and start roundhousing people in that cell. You're going to get your ass on that ground. Because more than likely, there's a couple knives on you too. So what do? A lot of people in the comments going to say, I'd fight to the death. Would you? Would you? I'll wait. Most of y'all wouldn't. I'm going to keep it a band with you. Most of y'all wouldn't. Because it's different when you're watching a movie, and it's different when you're in a cell and nobody's watching. There's nobody coming to save you, bro. You can't yell. You can make no noise. You got a sheet wrapped around your mouth. The loudest your noise is... Now, we can hear you. But what are we going to do? The door is shut. We don't have a key. Even if we wanted to help. What are we going to do? We're not going to automatically turn into He-Man and rip that door off. It's none of our damn business. I'm going back to my chess game. I'm already walking into my cell. I want the door shut. I look at my cellie and I go, they got youngster. They got young blood over there. He said, yeah, I hear it. Within 2 minutes, which is a long time, guys. Think about 2 minutes of fighting for your life. They've subdued him. There's no more scuffling. You don't hear the scuffling no more. He's not fighting. He's either gone or he's just succumbed to the fact that he's about to experience something really, really fucked up. That's a child. That's somebody's child. Regardless of whether I like the man or not, that's a 19-year-old child, man. I was a child. I got lucky. And I can say, oh, it's because of who I... No, I got lucky that this never happened to me. Lucky. Because it happens all the time. It does. Whether you guys out here want to believe it or not. Within 2 minutes, the whole pod smells like explosive diarrhea. That's what it's going to smell like. Because you know why. And those men are taking turns going up in this boy. They're not being nice about it. They're not taking their time. It's not like easing a big turd out, man. No, Luna. No, baby. Right? No, that's not what they're doing. They're hurting that man. They're letting him know who the fuck is boss. It took them 3 months for this moment, and they were not going to waste it. They put in a lot of work for this moment. They were enjoying themselves. He was not. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. And when they're done, when they're done, the pillow comes out the window, and you see a hand come out. They want the door back open. They need to get out. It's a crime scene. That's a crime scene. They're on camera because there are cameras in these pods, in these day rooms. So they come out with their shirts over their head, slide out real fast. So when the door's open, they'll have a couple of their buddies kind of stand in the way of the camera, and they can sneak out. The smell is something you don't get over, man. The smell's bad. It smells bad. It's a combination of shit, blood, tears, and whatever other fluids are going on in that situation. You never forget it. And you'll do anything in your power to not let it happen to you. So you try to make good decisions. Because now, not only did that happen to that man, and I guess in a sense he's lucky he didn't keep fighting because they probably would have poked him up real bad. I've even seen them take the knife and go into someone's rectum. That's terrible. That's terrible. But now what do you think his life is like? His life is different now. Ain't no more. All that is done. His whole demeanor, his whole persona has now changed within minutes. That 2 minutes changed that man's whole life. Now they done made him a net bag dress. You ever heard of that? Take a laundry bag and they cut the bottom out and make it a little skirt for you to wear around or to wear in the cell. Now he's playing house with this dude. You are his bitch. You're his wife. You're his girl. You're his. He made sure of that. And if you ever decide one day that you're not, him and his boys are going to make sure that, oh, you are.